Right, it's probably been like 5 miles, 362 now. Car's warmed up. The temperature doesn't have a temperature. So how are our readings doing here? Calculated load, mass airflow 2 grams, intake 27, atmospheric pressure, engine run time. It's been 1,000 seconds. Closed loop, short-term fuel trim is 0. Long-term fuel trim is 1.57. Hey, so this is the short-term and long-term fuel trim. So the short-term fuel trim is 1.5%. Long-term fuel trim is 1.5%. So being that it's a positive number, what I'm thinking is this car has some failure where it needs more fuel to run correctly. Okay. So the computer is compensating 1.5%, adding more fuel to make it run right, which, given its mile and age, I think isn't too off. It's kind of like, I would say a normal number is my guess.
Is that like a change the PCV valve or fuel injectors, change the spark plug, it might change, or it's more like pistons are worn?
Anything could be possible, but you're looking for a failure that is causing where you need to add more gas to run right. So for example, if you had air coming into the motor and there's a sensor in the front and that sensor is telling you like, I don't know, 10 parts of air is coming in, and then right behind that sensor, there's a leak and the air is like gushing in, but now that air isn't counting for. So the computer now is normally running and is injecting, let's say, 5 pieces of gas for 5 pieces of air. But now you got like, you're supposed to have 5 pieces of air, but you're actually having like 7 pieces of air. So the car doesn't run right. So in the next iteration, the computer goes, I know I put in 5 pieces of gas to match the 5 pieces of air, but the car doesn't run smooth and all these sensors are telling me no. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase the gas to make the car run right. So therefore, that's why I have to add like another 1.5% of interest on the positive side, meaning I'm adding more fuel. And that's the logic. So as a mechanic, you work backwards. You're like, if the computer has to add more fuel, what type of failure will require it to add more fuel? And that's where you have to know their car, and you have to like, if you're gonna guess an item that fails, you would say, if it fails on the open side, closed side, or how does it fail, will that require more fuel? Okay. And so that's where like 3 years of schooling will come in fast, versus you like, you can probably Google it and slowly get to the answer. Yeah, you have a list of things to check. Yeah, so that's that. But like, let's just say I see like long-term 15% or something. I'm like, oh, this car, the computer's trying to compensate a lot of fuel for it to run right. And then the short-term and the long-term is every time it reaches a certain threshold for the short-term, and then it dump that threshold to the long-term, and the short-term goes back to 0. And it keeps on doing that, and it dumps it over the long-term until it maxes out on both scales, and then there's no more to compensate. So there's a catalyst temperature sensor. It's like 500 degrees Celsius. I think bank 1 is before the cat and bank 2 is after the cat. And it's like hotter in the front and colder in the back. which somehow is confusing to me because I think the rear is supposed to be hotter than the cold. If I remember right. So let's say the temperature coming in is some number. When it goes into the cat cooks it, and when the gas is coming out, it should be even hotter.
Okay.
So the numbers are like reversed here, if you were using my logic. Yeah, so. But then if
The
this,
cat, you're saying heats the gas.
yeah, so if there's raw gasoline coming in, the cat will cook that raw gasoline and make it come out with like water and CO2 and stuff. But in the process of cooking it, the cat actually gets hotter.
Yeah.
So the gas coming out will be hotter than the gas coming in. And then we also need to check on the check engine light here a little bit to see if the check engine light's working.
Is there?
I don't want to shut it down now, but that's something I need to talk out loud to remember. Catalyst monitor complete. Okay. Catalyst monitor. Heated catalyst is complete. Catalyst monitoring complete. Incomplete. Turbochargers. So this is what I don't get though. So you see it says air conditioner monitor complete, complete. Heated catalyst complete, but the catalyst monitor, it says incomplete. But incomplete means it hasn't finished. But like it's been connected to the battery for so long, so everything should be complete. What it should say is like incompatible, or like not available. Yeah, but it says incomplete, so it should be complete, incomplete, or unavailable. So I don't know why it says incomplete. I usually check this with my other monitor. The smaller one is easier to understand these monitors. This one's somehow a little bit more advanced. So here, it says it's like unavailable. So like, why does it say catalyst monitor incomplete? Why didn't you say unavailable? It's almost like the computer hasn't finished running to get this to complete. So these are all your transmissions. So switch status park is off because I'm in drive. Drive is on. And now drive is off. So things in the transmissions are talking. Initial engine coolant temperature was 23 Celsius. Initial engine coolant temperature this morning was 23. Didn't I tell you it was 23 earlier? That hasn't changed.
So initial is like the first time you start in the day?
Must be. The knock sensor is, there's a knock value of -3, trying to bring something back, so the correct knock is 18. I don't know these values, but like there's a sensor that tells if the car is like misfiring, so it's shaking, and the computer is compensating that for a little bit. Correct knock, correct learn value 18. Distance from the battery disconnect is very long. Our battery alternator is charging, that's good. No misfires counted. Ignition trigger count 249. Misfire margins are 78%, 82%. Vapor, speed, starter count, run, engine oil temperature 74 Celsius. Previous engine oil temperature 74 Celsius. We have the electric fan running. That's good. Number of cylinder is 4. All right, so let's turn this car off. Do we have an engine temperature value up here? Engine runtime. Let's go back. Active test, special function, trouble codes. Any trouble codes? No codes. Hit OK again. What are special functions? All readiness. Input a desired TC check monitor and simultaneously. Alright, so everything looks good.